ugh, that's just gross.
Yeah, he was targeting girls at Juilliard, just like going to like some of the best art schools and just going after children. And one of the moms said when her daughter was 13, it's not like she was a mature 13-year-old. She said, my daughter looked like she was 9. She was skinny, she was immature, she was naive. And this woman actually said she wouldn't let the man within any distance of her child. She just knew something was wrong. Wow. And at that point, he had a madam that was reaching out too, trying to connect and make people more comfortable with meeting him. But the mom said it hit her radar and she wasn't having it.
Yeah. Oh, man. And here's the thing. I've got this story as well. This is by Erica Orden at CNN, dated Thursday. Out of New York, lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein proposed a bail package on Thursday that would allow the multimillionaire alleged sex trafficker to remain out of jail pending trial and live instead in home detention at his Upper East Side mansion, one of the largest residences in Manhattan, valued at $77 million, according to court documents. The arrangement, sure to draw the scrutiny of prosecutors who have already asked a judge to have him detained without bail, also would put Epstein under electronic monitoring by GPS, require him to post a substantial personal reconnaissance bond secured by his Manhattan home, and deregister and ground his private jet. Now, if you or I were accused of a crime, do you think we would get some sort of a sweet deal like that? Home arrest?
Yeah, never. Well, in the crime that he was originally charged with was actually soliciting engaging in prostitution of a person under the age of 16. Now they just labeled a child as a prostitute. The actual law, if you're sleeping with somebody under the age of 16, that's rape. That's not prostitution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's still some very archaic laws out there that still list these girls as prostitutes. No, they're victims. That's what they are. They're victims. An indictment unsealed Monday charged him with 1 count of sex trafficking of minors and 1 count of conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking of minors related to the conduct that occurred between 2002 and 2005. Epstein, who was pleaded not guilty, is currently being held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, a federal detention center in Lower Manhattan. You know, and that's another thing. Why didn't they put him... What's that prison in New York that's got such a horrible reputation? Rikers Island. Why haven't they put him there?
Oh, come on. They're not going to put him somewhere uncomfortable. He's probably good friends with somebody that owns the private prison system.
Oh, probably. Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, it's like we've told you on the show multiple times, folks. Money is the biggest privilege of anything. More so than your skin color, more so than your race, more so than your religion, your gender, everything. Money rules it all. Money talks and bullshit walks, as we've said multiple times on this show.
Well, and I've also heard that they found a bunch of stuff in his safe, a bunch of videos and stuff. I would imagine he's got a lot of blackmail and a lot of really powerful people.
I imagine he does. Yeah, didn't they find... They were talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of photos.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It'll be interesting to see if he has, evidence on other people, because when you're on the grill, that's when you tend to throw other people underneath the bus. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. And speaking of victims, we got to talk about this next story here. But in order to do that, we do have to play the appropriate music.
Stop! Hammer time!
Oh yeah, it's hammer time. It's time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week. And this one is out of Michigan. The winner this week, Detroit News writer Nolan Finley. And he wins the award this week for this piece that was published in the Detroit News on July 8th. Headline reads, Finley, Rick Snyder becomes the mob's latest victim. Let me just read this here. Who needs a pitchfork when you have a smartphone? Social media has equipped the mob with its most sophisticated and deadly weapon. With a click of the send button, careers can be ruined, reputations destroyed, a life's work reduced to a hateful hashtag. Look at what happened to Rick Snyder. The former Michigan governor was forced to withdraw from a Harvard University fellowship in the face of a social media campaign that declared him unfit to appear on any public stage. Snyder, who had previously been deemed too hot to handle by his beloved alma mater, the University of Michigan, had been asked by Harvard to spend a year on campus talking with students about the successes and failures of government. Who could offer a better perspective on the highs and lows of governing? Snyder saved Michigan from an economic freefall when he took office in 2010 with an agenda that focused on instilling fiscal discipline and enacting pro-growth policies. During his tenure, Michigan moved off the bottom shelf of most economic measures to become one of the fastest-growing states in the nation. He stabilized the economy, built a respectable rainy day fund, and started paying down long-term debt. Hold on there, I have to stop with all of that. Oh, he's paid down the debt. He turned Michigan around. Oh, really? Yeah, that's the BS meter going off, because that's what it is. It's nothing but BS. Continuing this opinion piece, and then came Flint. Snyder didn't poison the children of Flint, as his detractors claim. He placed a financially broken city under a state emergency manager in hopes of recreating in Flint the resounding success of a similar intervention in Detroit. Really? No, I don't think so, folks. It backfired when an employee failed to add the right chemical mix to water drawn from the Flint River, leading to lead leaching into the city's drinking water and into the city's kids. Snyder's offense was bungling the response. He acted too late and with too little urgency. He seemed not to grasp the seriousness of the situation until it was blowing up his administration. Fault him for that, but also recognized that he learned a lesson from the experience, one that would be worth sharing with future government leaders studying at Harvard. He won't get that chance because an 11-year-old child, Mari Kopeny, decided there will be no redemption for Snyder. Mari, known as Little Miss Flint for encouraging former President Barack Obama to visit the city, launched a Twitter protest under the hashtag #NoSnyderFellowship. Here's what she tweeted, quote, "Harvard has to be smarter than this. Hashtag #NoSnyderFellowship. Hashtag Snyder for prison. Hashtag Flint water crisis." That's a direct quote. Others joined the campaign, and Snyder was done. This was hardly a massive backlash against Snyder, but on social media, a smattering of posts can look like a groundswell. Harvard wasn't willing to weather the storm, even one that never gained much velocity. No shock. Previously, the school, to calm a student protest, relieved an African-American lawyer of his position as faculty dean for providing hashtag MeToo poster boy Harvey Weinstein with his constitutionally guaranteed legal representation. They also used the hashtag Harvard has no spine. In withdrawing his name, Snyder commented, quote, "It would have been exciting to share my experiences, both positive and negative. Our current political environment and its lack of civility makes this too disruptive. I wish them the best." End of quote. I didn't think I'd have to pull the Snyder impersonation out anytime soon.
Poisoning children isn't,
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That's not disruptive at all.
No.
Taking away people's water and, leaving them with none to shower, cook, or clean with. That's not disruptive.
No. Finley continues, "And so the mob's thirst for blood is quenched, for now. But with each victory of demagoguery over reason, it will become bolder and less tolerant and more difficult to sate." Yeah. No, Nolan Finley just doesn't get it. There are children that will have long-term, permanent effects of ingesting lead because the city of Flint, under the emergency manager appointed by Snyder, wanted to save a few bucks and decided to pull the plug on getting water from Detroit and getting it from the Flint River instead while they were building their own pipeline to Lake Huron.
It's not like this could have been done inadvertently. I drove through Flint 2 days ago, and you can't go anywhere without seeing a GM metal stamping and metal this and all of these different industrial places. And clearly you can look and see Like, you can't miss this. You can't miss the fact that the river is probably poisonous, and just the way they didn't even, there was no science there. When you look into the investigation and read through the facts of it, Snyder should be in prison. He should be in prison, not in anybody's condo. He shouldn't be working any jobs. He should be in prison. And the fact that he's not shows that we live in an oligarchy. That's bottom line.
Yeah, let me add for everybody that might have forgotten this. When they switched the water over, General Motors contacted either the emergency manager or the state or somebody and said, this water that's being pulled out of the Flint River is corroding our engines. We need to switch back to the Detroit water, and so they did.
Yeah, they knew it was bad for the engines and didn't care that they were still giving it to the children.
Yep, absolutely. So for Nolan Finley for basically protecting Rick Snyder and making Snyder feel like a sympathetic victim when he perpetrated this atrocity on children in Flint, Michigan, we have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah, that's right. I think Nolan Finley needs to start writing sports or something else and stop giving his opinions because, in my opinion, you are a douchebag. Unbelievable. Oh. All right. You were at a Grand Rapids candidates forum last night. Why don't you explain what was going on?
So, yeah, there was just pretty much a city commission candidate forum, and the topic was affordable housing. So there was 3 different wards. Of course, 2 of the candidates couldn't make it. One of those was an incumbent, John Connor, Ward 1. Mm-hmm. Also, Wendy Felb, who is running for Ward 2, was not there. And the other candidates, I believe, that were running were all there. Ward 3 was Nathaniel Moody, who is an incumbent right now. Or no, I'm sorry, he's not. He's running for Sunita Lanier's ward, which I found interesting because it doesn't look like she's running. He's running unopposed, so
I wonder where she's going.
Yeah, I wonder. Generally, those are stair steps up somewhere higher. I wonder if there is a run for mayor or county commission or something else in her future. But yeah, of the candidates that were there was Allison Lutz in Ward 1, who's up against O'Connor, but like I said, he didn't make it. And then they had Michael Farage and Melinda Isasi for Ward 2. And it was interesting. I couldn't help but be surprised that they were talking. First of all, it was put on by Homes for All, Grand Rapids chapter. Mm-hmm. And for having the topic be housing affordability and housing itself, I was surprised that not a single time during the entire forum did anybody on the city commission actually mention the Grand Rapids Housing Commission or working with the Housing Commission or anything like that. It makes you wonder what the Housing Commission's for if it isn't housing.
And you said that there was talk of an expenditure of maybe $1 million.
Oh, yeah. Apparently the city manager has, I don't know if he personally budgeted this money, but he is in control of money that has been allocated through the city budget to affordable housing. It's $1 million, and he's doing a study to collect data so they can decide how to spend that. Also can't understand why that would be done by the city commission and not the actual housing commission. But yeah, it was a lot of talk of half the candidates were just talked about how much they love development, and that continued to shock me because clearly, developers are the main source of pushing people out of their homes right now and raising prices. I keep hearing one of them kept talking about home ownership. Nathaniel Moody was focused so much on home ownership versus renting. And it didn't seem that he understood the problem that people are having a hard time gaining the assets and saving the money to be homeowners, even should they be in affordable ranges right now.
And it also isn't helping when homeowners are being bought out by these developers so that these single-family homes are being bulldozed down to put up a new multi-use apartment complex with a shopping center inside of it. Look at the one that's going up behind the Van Andel Arena. They're putting a movie theater in there. They're going to have stores. They're going to have apartments.
Is it the one with the micro studios? First of all, what's a micro studio? Is that a hotel room? That's got to be a hotel room, right? Because the studio itself is pretty micro. So
yeah, and
they
aren't
want
those
$800 a month for their hotel rooms.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, hey, we've talked on the show. One of our listeners lives right by downtown.